All wings reporting.
Red 10 standing by.
Red 7 standing.
What's up, fresh fellows? Welcome back to another video. Today, we are comparing all of the wings. What I mean by that is we're going to be looking at the V-wing, the A-wing, the X-wing, the B-wing, the Y-wing, and the U-wing. They're all called a wing something in the Star Wars universe. There's lots of other wings, but none of them are made in Lego to this day. So, I can't add those to the list. Now, all of the models here are actually the newest versions that have been released. So yes, we do have the downscaled X-Wing, which I know isn't ideal, but I don't have any of the other ones, so just bear with me, and I think it'll work just fine. So in today's video, we're not going to be comparing them based on minifigs or price or anything like that, just because I want to compare the actual vehicles to each other. We're not going to be looking at actual, facts about them, like their height and size and when they were made, because that's for nerds. First up here, we have the V-Wing. Yes, this is from the Clone Wars and the prequels, so it's not like the X-Wing or U-Wing. It's not from that era of Star Wars, but it's still considered a wing, so it's still going to be in this video. I believe this version is from 2014, which is the newest version, at least when this video was recorded. This is a nice little set. I really love the darker red and gray color combo. It looks really nice. And all of our comparisons here, we're going to be using these two minifigs as examples because, well, that's what I could find first. So we have the astromech droid here. We can pop his head off and it will go right in here to look like he is sitting inside of the ship. Nice little protected area. The head will swivel around. Now you notice this thing's going to the side a little bit. So the landing gear here is not great. In my opinion, we have this little piece that flips down. But then we still have this piece right here, this clear piece. And then these pieces here also hold it up. It's just not perfect. I mean, that's a lot more sturdy, but you see it rocks a lot. So note to self, landing gear is not perfect. Now we just throw our pilot in here. This is actually a B-wing pilot, just if you were wondering. And the pilot can sit like so. The cockpit piece does cover this area really nicely. Now if we go into flight mode, we're going to want to kick up this landing gear, and then the wings will turn like so, and now it is in attack position. Kind of similar to the way the X-Wing's wings flip out. Now here's the side view. It's a nice little ship. It's smaller, definitely, but it's a nice little ship all the same. Here's the back. You can see the engine pieces. As for features, we've got the flick fire missiles back here. They just shoot out normally. Nothing too special there. Nice little set. The V-Wing is definitely unique, and it is a nice little Clone Wars ship. I definitely expect this to get a remake because it's a great set, not only from the Clone Wars, but from the prequels as well. Moving up to our next biggest ship, we have the Resistance A-Wing. Now, there have also been Rebel A-Wings, but those have been in red. I believe one of them... Nope, they were all in red. Yeah. So, this is the Resistance one. It's not much different from the Rebel one, other than it's green instead of red. Nice little set. It came from last year, actually, 2020. Great little set. The landing gear, just first and foremost, is a lot more sturdy because we have these three components instead of the one. So these all flip down really easily, and it sits like so. Now this one, there's not a space for a droid. This time, all you have is the cockpit piece with some nice stickers. Flip open, and then you can place our pilot right in. He has a little seat where, there we go. Fits in snugly, and there we go. Now he's in there. Very nice. Now you can see we have two little guns right here and some really nice pieces in the back to represent kind of the jets, and then this little back section. Really nice set. I love the color combo with the white and the dark green. The stickers add a nice touch. Now if you want to go into flight mode, it's not as dramatic as the V-Wing because nothing moves except the landing gear. And here is how it sits in flight mode. This set does not have a lot of play features, except it has the nice little subtle launchers for the flick missiles, kind of like the U-Wing, which we'll look at later. And there it goes. Wow. Powerful. Besides the landing gear and flick missiles, there's not many other features. These do move, but I believe that was not intentional. It's just the way that they're attached to the ship with these little Technic pins right here. Next up, we have one of the more interesting looking wings. We have the B-Wing. Oops, it's hitting my camera. It is very long, this B-Wing. So as you can see here, we have some nice thrusters in the back, and the cockpit is actually on the end. Usually it sits in the middle of the ship, but here it's on the end. So we can load in our pilot. This pilot actually goes to the ship. It's just not the pilot that came with the set. I believe this is also 2014. This is a very nice set. It's the newest version. And the cockpit does spin around, and you'll see why in just a minute. So here you can see we have flick missiles and then some other guns right here. And then if we pull it out just so you can see it, it's got a kind of thick body right here, but then the rest is really thin with the cockpit on this side and the wings on this side. Now to go into flight mode, this thing is really hard to display because the pieces move so much. You kind of have to display it in landing mode unless you have a special stand, because to go into flight mode, these two wings go up. You can see it is a lot bigger of a ship once it's all extended. It's just very thin right here on the wings, as you can see. And now the cockpit can swivel so that it can be standing all the way up. Really neat feature here that the cockpit will swivel in a full 360 like so. You can kind of spin it if you want. Now the wings are like this. I'm going to do it like this just so you can see it. Now we do have the flick missiles, like I said, so we can shoot those really easily. These ones you do have to do with your hand. There's no lever or mechanism. We've got some nice orange sticker elements here on the ship. And then we have some nice plating right here. It makes it look a lot better when the shape is more curved because Lego is so blocky. On this end here, it might be a little blaster. It might just be some kind of ship detailing, but it's nice, this little ending piece here. Really great set. It's just really hard to display. Now the UCS one obviously comes with a plaque, so that makes it easier. But this standard B-Wing is best displayed just like this. So one more look at this interesting build. This B-Wing is really long, but really thin. It's an interesting build. I'm pretty sure the piece count isn't very high on this just because the wing pieces take up a lot of space and they're pretty big. So you might get a whole wing out of like 5 pieces. So not a huge piece count, but a pretty big set. Here we probably have the most iconic ship in this whole lineup, and that is the classic X-Wing. This is new from 2021. It's the slightly downscaled one, so it's not quite to the scale that the other ones are at. They're not at minifig scale, they're just at a slightly larger scale than this. You see we have flick missiles on the side here, on the 2 wings, on the bottom part of the wings. Now if we open up the cockpit, we can throw our pilot in. It's interesting that after so many years of using the classic X-Wing windshield piece, Lego has been using the U-Wing windshield piece a lot more on X-Wings, which I don't really like, but it still works, so I can't be too mad about it. Then we throw the droid in here. I don't like this one as much as previous models because the droid is more exposed and it just doesn't look as accurate, but that's alright because there's other things about this ship that I do really like. We have the classic white with a little bit of yellow and red and gray. I think they captured that really well. So under here we have 3 more landing pieces. Now these don't go down at all, which is a little bit unfortunate. The landing gear just stays out through flight, but it does keep the ship down and very steady. It's not going to move around like the V-Wing. Now if we want to go into flight mode, we lift it up. Again, the landing gear doesn't move. And my favorite thing about this set is you push this little lever here and the wings go out like so. It's super smooth, they don't click like previous models, and it keeps the ship from breaking. Now that it's in attack position, you can see how you can fire the stud shooters a lot easier. You just push on them, and there they go. The ship does get bigger in attack mode. I guess you could have it like this and it's still flight mode, and then you push this, and it's in attack mode. Now you can see why they do call it the X-Wing, because the wings form an X, and it just looks really nice. Now it's not going to sit with the wings out. Actually, if you set it down, it's going to go back like it was. So like that, and it closes. Really nice ship, really iconic. And again, this is a smaller model, but it still is really sweet. Now we're on our second to last ship here, and we have the Y-Wing, which is a really cool one. This was first seen, in order of how the movies would go during the Clone Wars, when it had more of a full body, where it was either yellow or blue, at least in the Clone Wars show. Now they did make a set of the full yellow and white one, but I don't own that one, and since I'm trying to go off the most recent, that's why this one is here. Now, there is the Resistance Y-Wing from the Rise of Skywalker wave, and I do not have that one, so I am a little bit behind. This isn't the newest version, but it's the newest Rebel Y-wing, so I can get away with that. We've got the classic gray, yellow, and white color combo here. Now, to get our droid and pilot in, it's a little bit different. We have to push this gun out of the way, throw our droid in here, pretty protected, and then we can throw our pilot right in here. Now we can put the gun back, and now all of our occupants are in the vehicle. Now we have 3 bits of landing gear here. All of these do move, which I do like. These flip to the sides, and this flips forward so that it will sit lower if you don't have it out. When you lift it up, you can hold it like so. We have the flick missiles underneath. They'll fire like so. Woo. And then you can just slide it back in underneath. Now the cool play feature here is you have this little knob on the back. And if you twist it, watch the bottom here, you'll have some torpedoes fall out, which is a nice play feature. I only have one in there right now, but you can drop more than one of these in. You can see this little mechanism pushes them around so that they fall out. This is definitely a great model. The only difference between this one and the Resistance one is the color scheme has changed from white and yellow to white and red. Now you can see it in landing mode again. I think some people like and dislike the way that the ship looks more skeletal without the filler pieces, like the Clone Wars version with the yellow. Now it's just kind of a skeleton around these engines right here, but I think it looks nice. It's cool to see the interior of the ship. Now the biggest wing out of all of these is definitely the U-wing. This is from Rogue One, and hopefully we'll see a remake of this set once the Andor show comes out, which would be awesome. So this is the only version of the set that exists up until this day, and it looks really nice. See, we have doors on the bottom where you can load in your troops, because this set did come with 5 great minifigs. We've got stud shooters that swing out, then we can close this up again, and the other side is just the same. Now we can throw our cockpit in like so. It's great, we have a little piece back here that if you push, the cockpit will open, and we have easy access to put our pilot in. Now, one of my favorite features of the set is right here, this grill plating. Right here, this very flat looking plating actually activates the stud shooter, so if you press on this little thing, they will shoot. Great hidden feature because it still makes the set look nice, and you have a great play feature. Now, if you want to go into flight mode, you don't have to put up any landing gear because the troop cargo spot right here acts as landing gear basically because it just sits on here. You can detach the wings. They're clipped in with these little clips, and then they'll clip in back, and now it's ready to fly, which looks really nice. It makes the wingspan a lot bigger, and now it's a lot bigger of a ship, and it's nice that you can now get to the doors a lot easier, that the wings aren't here. And when you land, you can just detach them, and they will slide back into place and snap. Oops, I accidentally fired the missiles. They will just snap in like so. This is a large set, but it's really compact for the piece count, and it looks really, really good with the blue, yellow, and white combo. Before we take a look at all of these ships one last time, there's an honorable mention, and that is the ZH-87 Starhopper. I was really close to including this in the list, but since it's not technically called any of the wings, it doesn't count. This is basically the OG X-Wing, and I almost put it in the video that way, but this is from the Clone Wars, so before the X-Wing, it only has 2 wings instead of 4, and the only reason it's not in the video again is it's not called a X-Wing or any kind of wing, it's just called this Headhunter. So now that we've taken a quick look at all of these awesome sets, now we can actually kind of compare them, which is tricky because they're all so different. I'm going to compare them all in different little ways. First little comparison is between the A-Wing and the V-Wing. They're the 2 smallest ships, and they're about the same size. And in my opinion, the 2021 is a lot better. And part of that is just because it's a newer set, so it's a lot smoother looking. You can see here all the plating around here is just a lot smoother than the V-Wing. The landing gear is a lot nicer. It doesn't rock around when you try to move it. The engines of this one just look a lot better too. But again, the V-Wing is not supposed to look like an A-Wing, so I guess you could argue that it's perfect for what it should be. But if I had to choose between the 2 of these, the 2020 A-Wing just looks nicer. You know, the B-Wing doesn't really compare to anything because it's just so unique. But I will say, if I'm comparing it to any of these, one thing that makes this a little bit weaker is that the wings aren't very detailed, and they're just Lego plating. There's no kind of flat pieces or any kind of engine design or stickers besides these. So comparing these set to these, can't really compare them because this is so different again. But just for design, this could use a little bit more detailing here. A little bit of a similar dilemma between the X-Wing and the Y-Wing. The Y-Wing has lots of great detailing, not only on the engines, but on the middle section here too, which has some of these brown sticks and just some other random details which look really nice. Now the X-Wing has nice stickers on the wings, but it could be a little bit more detailed, even though this is the smaller scale X-Wing, so the actual sized one has some extra detail that couldn't be fit into this smaller model. I will say this X-Wing has the greatest wing play feature just because they slide out so easily and it won't break your pieces over time. My only issue with the U-Wing is when popping these out, you can eventually create wear and tear just doing this a bunch of times because every once in a while I snap pieces off, and with that much friction it could break them, but I haven't had that problem yet, so for now we're good. Now with the X-Wing and the U-Wing, the only thing really here to compare is the windshield piece is the same between the two of these, and for some reason on the U-Wing it's a lot brighter looking. You can see here the X-Wing one almost looks faded even though it's just a different color. I think the U-Wing one looks nicer just because it's got that surrounding bit, but the X-Wing doesn't, but it does cover the space nicely, so I guess it still works. Now if we're going to compare all of these together for value, the U-Wing is definitely the best, at least when it first came out. For $70, you got this great set and 5 minifigures. 5 minifigures in a $70 set is pretty good to begin with, but getting some main characters and some great rebels with the set was just a great added bonus. The U-Wing also had some great minifigs, but for $60 it just seemed a little bit much. Now this new X-Wing was $50 and came with 4 really cool minifigs with the new and exclusive Rebel minifig, so I guess that's a good bonus. I don't know exactly how many minifigs came in this 2014 B-Wing. I would guess 3, but the set itself is really unique and cool. I believe this V-Wing had 2 minifigs when it came out in 2014, and again, it's a cool set. I just think the landing gear could use some work. The A-Wing from 2020, in my opinion, is almost a perfect set. Maybe 1 extra minifig for the price that it was would be nice, but again, it's still a really great set. That's going to do it for this comparison. I thought it'd be fun to compare all the wings, the U-Wing, Y-Wing, X-Wing, B-Wing, V-Wing, and A-Wing. Thought it'd be a fun video to do, and after looking at all of these, I'm liking them all even more. The U-Wing is definitely the greatest value out of all these, at least when it came out. As for which one looks the coolest, I really like the way the A-Wing looks, even though it's the smallest. It just looks the cleanest out of all of them, and the color combo is really sweet. I'd say some of my least favorites here are the V-Wing, just because the landing gear is kind of messed up, and the B-Wing, just because it could use some more detail. The B-Wing is one of my favorite wings in the movies, but the LEGO set could use a little bit of an upgrade. Thanks for watching this video. I had a lot of fun comparing these. Let me know which ones you think are the best based on value or looks in the comment section down below, and we can battle it out down there. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.